Welcome to a Matter of Mindset podcast. Joseph Carpe Diem, putting in work from the AM to the PM, episode 19. After a summer of enjoyment, we're back. Glad to be back, of course. I'm going to let her guest introduce herself.
Hey, nice to meet you all. My name's Vanessa Robbins, your mindset coach, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you, Joseph.
We're going to have a great episode today. I can feel it. Yeah. Without further ado, if you haven't subscribed to A Matter of Mindset on the podcast app, subscribe via the podcast app. Leave a rating and review. Scroll to the bottom of the podcast app. You'll see a rating and review system. Leave a rating and review. Subscribe to the YouTube where you can see our lovely faces. Subscribe on Spotify, all of that. Without further ado, Vanessa, how are you doing?
I'm good, I'm proper excited. Like, I'm feeling this vibe. Your energy is so good. I'm excited. I want to get into it.
Let's go. How would you describe yourself?
I describe myself as a solution-focused person, to be honest. A bit like a plumber. I can do the thing, and I always try to find the solutions to the problem. So, yeah, more like a plumber. I can fix pipes. I can fix much stuff.
Have you always been like that, or did you train yourself to be like this?
Yeah, good question. I feel like I've always been like this, but I think it's only recently that I've become more aware of the way I am. But yeah, I'm that girl who's like, if there's an issue or something, people give me a call up and say, hey, what's good? And can you help me with this? And yeah, I'm just full of ideas and solutions, and I'm excited. I'm always excited to give them.
Oh yeah, before I forget, I need to say a big shout out to UK Panther because he was the guy that introduced me to you.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, shout out UK and shout out the Clubhouse Massive as always.
Nice.
But yeah, Vanessa, what's your life been like up until this point?
It's been interesting. I've been able to connect with amazing people on Clubhouse, on social media platforms, just because of this, this experience that we've been going through lately. And so it's really caused me to stretch myself, especially with communication. So it's been interesting, and there's been a lot of growth, personal development growth in myself.
Two things that we're gonna harp on. I'm gonna harp on Clubhouse, yeah, because one of my bad habits, yeah, is using Clubhouse wrongly. And I'm not gonna lie, I've seen you start a couple motivation rooms or start a couple productive rooms, and I'm like, I should be in here, but I'm just not in the right headspace to be in here right now. Like, how do you make sure that you're always in the zone? Like,
yeah, so I'm quite intentional sometimes. Sometimes I go in rooms really just to kind of get that motivation myself, get inspired. And sometimes I'm in there to give inspiration to others. So yeah, for me, I just see it as just like people in my house, in my living room, as like family. So when I catch that vibe, I'm just like, okay, there's people in my house. And so the way I speak to them is as though they're in my home, and I just talk to them as though they're my friends. So that's the kind of vibe I take.
That's fair enough. What do you do? You spoke about communication. Like, what do you do to make sure that you communicate effectively with people? Because communication is one thing that people are struggling with, or they've said that it's an issue. They have issues with communication, especially when they're maybe angry or something. So how do you ensure that you're communicating effectively?
Yeah, great question. So it's interesting because generally speaking, when someone gives you information, you do two things. You can either take it for what it is, and the way you think is simply, do I have a association connected to it? So for example, if I was to say to you, hey, Joseph, I'm short, that might mean a lot of more things to you than just the matter of fact that I'm just short. It might mean, hey, she's short, so, she can't do this or she can't do that or whatever. Does that make sense? So it's when you're communicating, it's always good to just listen. And I think Clubhouse has been powerful because you got to actually utilize your ears. It's an audio. And the main thing you have to do is listen. And so it causes you to be more attentive to what people are saying. And it also causes you to ask more questions because you're not sure if from their background or the way they see a meaning of a word, what does that mean? It causes you to continuously ask questions. So I don't know if I've answered your question, to be honest. I might have gone left.
No, you have.
Yeah?
You spoke on my favorite word, especially over the summer. Listening is so important.
Oh yeah.
And You know what? It was on Clubhouse. It's so bad. I don't remember the woman's name, but I was in a room and she was like, "Listen and silent are the same word spelled differently."
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
right?
I remember it was a Friday. I was literally there, sitting there thinking, damn, she's just spun my whole head. So for like the whole weekend, I was just spun. And I'm like, you know what? I needed to hear this. So now when I'm actually actively listening to people, I make a conscious effort to be quiet. Like when you're in school and the teachers are telling you to listen, part of listening is being quiet, because what's implied when you're talking, when a teacher is talking or someone else is talking, is that you're not listening.
Right.
So that's an important gem. I don't think that's something to be overlooked.
No, absolutely not. And I think even in Clubhouse, what you do is when you ask a question to someone and then they answer it, you show them also you've been listening by actually saying to them, hey, you said such and such, and then you build up on that, right? You agree or you disagree or whatever, but you show you're listening by also using what they've said, their own words. And if you're not sure of what people are saying, it's important that you ask question. Like if someone said to me, oh, I want to create a residual income, I'll be like, residual income? And they'll be like, yeah. And then they will explain to me what residual income means to them, because it might not mean the same thing to me. So yeah, it's really, really important.
Absolutely. The listening thing, I can't lie, it changed the game for me, because it's like I shouldn't be speaking as much, because for me to understand someone, I have to listen to them. And for me to listen to them, I have to give them the floor to speak. And that's sort of the approach that I adopt with the podcast. I don't really talk as much. So not that I have nothing to say, but it's like I want to learn. So for me to learn, I have to listen. And for me to listen, I have to be quiet. Like, not like that, but you know.
No, I get you exactly what you're saying. And it's good. It's good because if you're able to be a good listener, then do you know what? All people want is for you to understand them. Honestly, that's what everybody wants, is for someone else to understand them. And so listening is a great part of that. And that goes in with the whole communication.
Do you think people's feelings get in the way of that though?
Yeah, it can do. You already know we're human, so you already know it can do. But I feel like when you're listening, you don't apply your feelings into that, because you're solely focused on what they're saying and having an understanding about what they're saying. So your feelings really shouldn't be involved in that. But you know, it takes time to kind of get a good understanding about what listening is. And I think Clubhouse has really stretched me definitely in my listening skills.
No, I think you can say us.
Okay.
I've been hanging around. I've been around the same people for a lengthy period of time, and I think you see the change in people. People have, like, although sometimes when you're around people, it's almost like a toxic family. I won't even say toxic, but it's almost like a family vibe. Like, you know, when you're around family, like you have their moments where you're cool, but there's moments where you just absolutely get on my nerves. And I think after a while, when you're talking, you think, this person's not listening to me. This person's not listening to me. But after a while, it's like, you know what? I actually see some change. So I can understand that. I can get behind that, definitely. But yeah, what currently in life makes you feel the most fulfilled?
Oh, that's lovely. I love that. I think what's made me feel so fulfilled is the ease that I have to express or give to others. There used to be a point in time where I was very, very reserved, and I felt a way about being open or sharing my the way I feel about someone. And so the thing that came to mind when you said that was the freedom or the ease to communicate or show or give love in a way where I don't feel like I'm overthinking that, because I'm giving this or I'm sharing, I'm going to be judged for it or being seen as a particular way. And so I've come to a space where I'm good with communicating and easily doing that, and that freedom to communicate without feeling that, you know, there's a framework or there's a boundary or there's restrictions or judgment is super, super powerful, and it's very, very empowering. So, and for me, I feel sincerely fulfilled that I can do that easily, openly, and you know, with freedom, I think is the key word.
What I got from what you were saying is you're not as harsh on yourself as you once were, because outside judgments only matter if you're harsh on yourself. Like if you're harsh on yourself, the outside judgments are going to feel even worse. So where you've relieved yourself of the harsh judgment of yourself, the outside judgments don't matter at all.
Absolutely. And Joseph, listen, me and you having this conversation, in my mind at the moment, I'm more conscious about what I'm saying, what I'm doing, and how I'm being received. Not, oh, is Joseph looking this, then that? Whereas you're probably thinking, right, is Vanessa hearing me? Is she seeing me? I'm thinking that's what you're thinking, but actually you're concerned about you and how you're showing up.
Yeah. I'm just trying to make sure that I communicate effectively.
So you're concerned about how you're showing up, but some people really sincerely feel when they're not in that space of freedom, i.e. communicating, they feel that whoever they're speaking to is conscious about how they look, how they speak. But actually, when you talk to someone, you're conscious about yourself. You don't have time to look on that person and say, la, 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 la. Like, it's a thing where I've come to a space in that understanding that when you're in communication with someone, that person is actually only concerned about themselves and how you're receiving them. So, you know, when you're speaking, don't be worrying about, okay, how do they see me, or what is it I'm saying? Because they're not even thinking about that. They're just thinking about how you see me. Does it look like I'm listening? Does she believe I'm being attentive? Does she feel like I'm understanding? Those are probably what your person is actually communicating or thinking in their mind. So when you have that understanding, just be free and say what you're saying.
Yeah. Don't say nothing too wild, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, don't say nothing too wild, but in terms of like healthy communicating and having a dialogue, just feel free to express yourself and not worry about being judged. Because if you're too harsh on yourself, again, you're gonna accept that harsh judgment from others, and it shouldn't be like that, because you limit yourself. But it all starts with a projection of the mind. Like you're projecting your own fear onto the other person, and they're just reciprocating that.
Oh, you already know, Joseph. It's so powerful, your mind. And I've learned as well that to connect with people who actually agree with the becoming of you, who have an understanding of that kind of the better person that you want to be. Because when you developing yourself in attempting, and when you're developing yourself in actually being the person that you want to become, that person will actually receive you as that, because you have that impression on yourself. So just be at ease with yourself with this, you know.
You definitely cut yourself some slack. That's one thing that I've learned to do. The one thing why I can operate so freely is because I used to be like, I'm super harsh on myself. Like I want everything to be done properly, and that's just the way I'm designed, innit? And maybe because of the way I was raised, I was always taught, if you're gonna do something, do it well.
Right.
So I have that mentality. As good as it is, it did confide me a bit. But I'm like, you know what? I need to let myself go a bit. Like it's not too, like, things are not as bad as you're making them out.
So Joseph, I wanted to just throw a question for you. So
go ahead.
If for example, you know, you said that how if you're going to do something, do it well. What happens when you've not done it well? What happens? What goes through your mind? What's going to happen?
You know what? It depends, because if I haven't applied myself and I don't get the result that I want, then I can literally go back to be like, you know what, at the beginning I didn't apply myself. But if I apply myself properly at the beginning to the best of my ability, and the results don't necessarily pan out in my favor, I can actually look at myself in the mirror and say, you know what, I put my best foot forward. But normally what the issue is we put lackluster effort forward and then get upset when we get the results, when we don't get the results that we want. So it's literally about the application. If you apply yourself properly, not that you will, but you're more likely to get the results that you want.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like there's a thin line as well. When I set out to do something and I put my best effort and I don't get the result, a lot of us, we really just I used to do it a lot. I used to have this condition where I'll be like, well, because you didn't get that result, Vanessa, you got to work an extra 2 hours. Like I literally like put that on me, and I'm like, whoa, wait, like I've realized that ultimately there's a space where you kind of punish yourself, but it's like it's not like a ultimate punish, it's a silent thing. And actually you've got to also celebrate the things that you don't necessarily get well, and not have that space, well, because I've not got well, then I have to do this that way, and kind of have this thing that you have to do that you don't actually like doing. Does that make sense? And so I kind of take a learning stance from it and say I'm still becoming wiser.
Yeah.
And so I take that kind of benefits from it. And so that eases the space where I don't be harsh on myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Absolutely. Like I'm in total agreement with that as well, because that's even something I've adopted now. Like, because I'm in a constant state of learning, I'm always trying to learn. I'm better at managing my ego. When I didn't want to learn and I thought that I knew it all and I had all the answers, I was walking around arrogant, like fully arrogant. Like, obviously people that know me know that I can be arrogant for.
Oh gosh.
People that know me know that I can be arrogant for jokes, innit? But when it's time to learn and it's time to be serious, the ego has to go, because if you want to learn, you have to humble yourself.
Yeah.
So if you're in that constant state of learning, humility is important.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think there's another space as well when you go through this whole personal development is self-respect, because you know, we go through this space where it's like when you affirm something, you say you're going to do something, like for example, I'm going to meet Joseph today, whatever. It's almost like you're promising yourself. Like for example, if you had a diet or whatever, you saying you're going to do something is almost like a promise to yourself. And so sometimes we consciously make a promise to ourselves, and so sometimes when we don't fulfill that promise, there's a feeling that happens, right? Disappointment. And I think we've got to just have an understanding that that's part of, you know, the end, you know, that's part of the process.
Yeah.
As a human being, to kind of feel that. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I think as well, like this morning, if I tell you what was happening to me this morning,
oh gosh,
it wasn't too bad. Like, I woke up at 6:45, had a shower, had breakfast, got ready, booking an Uber now. No Ubers want to come. Like, no Ubers want to come. I'm gone on Bolt, trying to get a Bolt. All drivers are busy. I'm like, not today. Not today. I prepared. I made my notes. I made sure I was on time, everything. Why? Don't do this to me. And I'm like, nah, this is not going to happen. But thank the Lord, obviously, Uber came, I got here. But I think because I made a commitment to you, I said, all right, cool, I'm going to be here at 9 o'clock. So I have to be here by 9. I don't want to call you and say I'm running late, because that's not on. And this is gonna flow into our topic, valuing people's time.
Oh yeah.
Valuing people's time. Shout out to my best friend Steven, yeah. This guy, when we used to meet up to go out or something, on nights out or something, he'd be like, or to go gym, he'd be like, oh, meet me at my house at 5 o'clock. He lived 5 minutes walk from my aunt's house at the time. He's like, meet me at 5 o'clock. I'll be like, okay, cool. 5 o'clock comes, where are you? I'm 2 minutes away. Or I'm at home. Why aren't you at home? Why aren't you here? We agreed 5 o'clock, and 5 o'clock is here and you're not here. And it's he may not have known it, but at the time it's value my time. If you don't value your own time, I value mine. So if I tell you 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock is 5 o'clock.
You know what? I was your friend, you know. I was that girl too. My bestie Simone, shout out. I was that girl who would meet down the road, in Brixton, locally, down South London. And she would be there, and I'll be that girl that's late, you know. And she'd like, why? How? Why? How? Why? How? So yeah, I was that person that had to improve my timekeeping. And it's an ongoing thing with prioritizing and just being organized. But yeah, it's really, really important to value people's time and show that you're committed to a thing that you agreed to, despite any situation or anything. So yeah, it's powerful. And
unless something drastically mad happens, the only way you can be late or your timekeeping is off is if you didn't plan. That's the only way. Unless something drastic happens. Because I set my alarm, I literally planned. Yesterday night, I wrote my notes, set my alarm, everything. I'm like, I'm going to get up at 6:30. If I leave my house at 8:15, 8:30, I'll be cool to get here for 9. I was ready by like 8:05. Now I'm booking the Ubers now, and the Ubers want to play dumb.
Yeah.
But
mad.
other than that, because I planned, I feel like it wouldn't have allowed me to be late, because there are times where I'm like, okay, cool, get here for 9. I'm strolling in at 9:30. There's one time I even rolled up 9:45. Sorry guys, I was late to the episode, but it's cool. But yeah, timekeeping is very important. But onto the topic, what is your time worth?
Listen, that is an excellent topic, and I'm glad you asked, because I've, like, as you already know, I am a entrepreneur. I have my own business, and I have 2 other partnering businesses, and so I've been self-sustainable for quite a while now, actually, about 4 or 5 years, and so I value my time so much, because I value my time, but I value myself so much because I have an understanding of how much value and impact that I make to people and their lives. And so, shoot that question again.
What is your time worth?
What is my time worth? What is my time worth? I don't feel like I can actually bottle that in numbers. I feel like the reciprocator will basically be able to show evidence and be able to answer that question more effectively than me, because it's about how am I impacting and adding to someone. And I think the person who receives that can probably gauge more and show more about how they value me. So yeah.
No, I think it's important, because we were talking about something. I think, correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I think you were saying something that how you used to previously work in Sainsbury's or whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's true. That's true.
And you were like, I came to the realization that the way in which I wasn't getting properly compensated for my time, so I had to make a change. Am I wrong?
Yeah, but shout out to Sainsbury's. You know, I still shop in there. You know, but yeah, my first job was in Sainsbury's, and I just kind of realized the whole organization, the structure of the organization, and actually that, you know, the people at the front line, we put in a lot of energy and time and dedication, and the value of that is compensated on a monetarily basis, you know, it doesn't feel justified. And so I was studying at the time, so I knew I wasn't going to be there for long. But then I went into employment again. So I was a permanent contract as a junior interior designer. And then from there, I went into another employment as a CAD technician. But after that, I then became my own boss and done contract works. And that freed up the value versus time, where I was able to put a higher price for my time that I produced something. And so when you utilize that, listen, once you've known that, you just kind of, it's like it's limitless in terms of figures, because the person who you're impacting is the person who literally dictates the value in i.e. what you're giving them. I mean, you can give them and tell them a price and something, but ultimately when you've learned that actually that price doesn't really compensate the value. So for example, if I work with a client and ultimately they said, okay, cool, I want to sort out my business, I need to figure this stuff out. All right, cool. That's one part of their goal, but their ultimate goal may be to retire their mum. And so my money, what my price is really, really small compared to the lifetime and memories they can create with their mother, because they want to retire at their mother, right? No price, you can't really pay for that, because there's a beginning and end in life. So, you know, you just gotta, I don't know, engage with your people who you're impacting to kind of set the value. But definitely when you're working for yourself, you can, pricing is whatever you choose to. And again, it reflects on about your own, how you value yourself, which you did say. And I think I don't pose myself in spaces of numbers. I pose myself in terms of impact and the changes that happens once they've made that change on a lifetime. And I don't feel like any number can really justify that. But I have an understanding that there's a give and take. There's a whole cycle, and as you give on to others, you'll be given on to also. So
absolutely, absolutely. What's a day in the life of an entrepreneur like?
Oh, great question. So for me, well, it's changed dramatically now with this pandemic stuff. Like, oh gosh, it's thrown me off.
We're gonna get into. I've got a question for that. But
yeah, I mean, the life of me now or before the pandemic, because they're two different things.
We'll do before the pandemic.
Okay, before.
Before the pandemic.
Okay, cool. Before the pandemic. It was pretty much simple because obviously I have a son, so doing the school run was pretty simple, and so I kind of chunked down my hours. I'm not that girl who has 11 o'clock, 11:20, 11:30. I have like an hour, 2 hours, and I have like a subject matter, and I'm like, cool. I'm gonna deal with I don't know, Clubhouse, emails, with my coach, or sorting out paperwork, contracts, whatever. I have like an hour where I have a subject and I work on that.
Okay.
So that's how I work through my day. And sometimes I'll have like 4 or 5 hours and I'm just creating. And sometimes I'm doing 2 hours and I'm just doing admin work. Sometimes I'm just seeing clients for that day. So it will vary, and I love that freedom of doing that. And that's it in a whole. If you want it to be more detailed, let me know.
Fair enough. Like, how do you like make sure that your creative time is productive? Because I think there's a lot of people out there that want to create, but they may not have the time, and they may not be in the mental space to create in a productive way. How do you ensure that your creativity is productive?
Absolutely. So with creativity, creativity doesn't mean that you're going to get a result. And I think if you have the mindset that, okay, I'm going to allocate this space to be creativity, so by the end of this, I should have a result, then it doesn't work. I think one of the greatest advice in terms of activating your creativity is any question that you have or anything that you're searching, i.e. an answer for, speak it, say it out loud, because a lot of the times we have conversations in our mind, but because we have a lot of them, it doesn't actually get channeled and we don't actually gain any clarity. So to get in a creative space, set a question that you want to endure. Or if there's like, for example, I don't know, if you're an artist or a paint artist, you mean like, okay, cool, I need to create something about I'm gonna go wild in it just for humor, the vagina. Say I'm a creative artist, yeah,
27
and my client's
and 53 like seconds. Go on.
My client's like, listen, I want a picture and I want it to express the vagina and its beauty and all this stuff. And so I just just use the word vagina and you just speak it out and flow with speak, because there's something that happens when you speak. You allow your brain to operate and communicate and search for the answer. And so if you want to get in a creative space, you just got to speak. Whenever I have a question or I'm trying to figure out something for my client, I ask the question out loud, because then I'm able to just write the answer and have that flow. It doesn't come with an expectation that at the end of this space or this time, I'm going to have an end result. It doesn't come with that expectation. It comes with just being able to put whatever ideas you have outwardly. And so I hope that's answered your question.
Nah, you answered my question.
Okay, great.
Do you think though, because you said something about expecting a result.
Yeah.
Do you think entitlement has a big issue or plays a big factor with people's creativity and the results that people want to achieve just in life?
Do you know what? It's crazy because I think, do you know Elon Musk? He created the school, isn't it? The uni in America.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because we've been raised, and I guess the word programmed, into doing a coursework, for example, doing a set of work, and then we get a grade, right? We get something at the end. And I think that process there has been the loop in which, the loop in which we're in. And Elon Musk created his school whereby it's just about experimenting. It's just about exploring. It's not necessarily about having an end result. yes, it's intentional, but it's that freedom to allow the result to show itself. And so there's no, okay, well, if I've thought of this idea and I'm going to get this, there's no grading. And I think this entitlement is quite strong, because it's like as though you're imposing, well, I've done this, so now I should get, accolades. Do you know what I mean? I should get acknowledged. And I sincerely feel when you're in that creative space and you're impacting, all of those things are already going to appear and happen. And I think if you don't, or reverse engineer and don't think about the expectation at the end, but actually think about focusing at the beginning and allowing, because everything has a start, everything has a beginning, and you've just got to be at that space in order for there to be a process. And I think people just want to get into this process or get to the end. No, you have to start. Yeah. That's where you got to start, and you've got to go through a process, and you are just learning the things and the ways which don't work. And the more things you know that don't work, the quicker and the easier you're getting to the thing that does work, because you're only going to get, the numbers are going to get smaller and smaller. So, I think that people have this expectation, they need to drop that. And I think who you are and what you do, it will show itself in terms of getting the accolades and, all of those stuff. This entitlement is a bag of nonsense. I don't think that people should be doing things based upon their own entitlement, i.e. maybe family, friends, financial status, whatever. Listen, at the end of the day, you've got to show up for you. And when it's all said and done, what are they really going to mean to you in terms of impacting a person's life? And like your degree in this, that doesn't mean nothing to me as your client. Like, you could say, hey, I've got a qualification in law. Okay, cool. But that's not going to help my situation. What's going to help my situation is how you are going to apply, how you're going to show up and help me in a matter of fact. So it's like, it's only does so much. So yeah, that's my take on it anyway.
No, I understand. I done a poll on social media where I sent people questions to ask, and one of the questions was, how have you been navigating life post-pandemic?
Yo, it's good. Wow, it's completely switched up the way I communicate, as we spoke earlier, and it's obviously highlighted who I value in my life, because there's obviously been a lot of passings as well.
Yeah.
So it's also highlighted, what is a priority for you. It's highlighted that, there's a beginning and an end. It's highlighted being to express yourself, appreciations, and you said about gratefulness as well. And so I respect and appreciate and give a lot of thanks to every single time I wake up. And, even like you said about how in our mind we think our situation is a big old thing, but really it's not in comparison to some other people's realities and situations. And so, yeah, this pandemic has really hit home about valuing others and your own life as well.
Yeah, I think as well for me, it's definitely given me a bit more urgency. Like the things that I want to do, I don't really think twice about doing them. Whereas where I didn't value time, and I didn't. Sometimes we think that we're gonna be let me not even say that, everyone. Let me speak for myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes
please.
I get into sometimes I think, you know what, I'm gonna be alive forever now. There's always gonna be time, but it's like there really isn't. So anything that I want to do, it's either now or never.
Do it now.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Even like when I wanted to start this podcast, I had many like influences, and Shoe Dog, the book by Phil Knight, the founder of Nike.
Okay, yes.
In like the first few pages, it said something like, "Cowards never start." I was like,
"Oh, here we go."
I'm definitely starting this podcast. And again, you spoke about being dedicated to the process.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I didn't.
Staying loyal to the goal.
Absolutely.
So the goal obviously is not there, but you have to stay loyal to this goal. You have to stay loyal. Yeah.
Even when the goal doesn't appear to be in sight.
That's it.
That's when you have to
stay loyal, man. You got
absolutely,
to like your best friend, at the end of the day, like, you just gotta nurture, be at ease, enjoy as well. Even record, take notes, document this experience, and share it. But definitely stay loyal to the goal. Don't give up just because something didn't work out the way you hoped for. It just means that there's another way, because I think if you've imagined it, then it's possible. Everything that we've created, and I mentioned this one time in Clubhouse, that app was someone's idea, and that hadn't been done before, but he was loyal.
Yeah.
And now I've had this amazing opportunity to connect with you, Joseph.
Absolutely.
The impact that person has on loads of people because of his idea. And so it's so valuable. Yeah. Do not take your idea for a joke. It is so powerful, and please go for it. Stay loyal to the goal. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't even know how powerful your idea is until you actually apply it. That's why application and execution is just very important, because whilst you're sitting there doubting your idea, there's someone that actually believes in his idea and is executing. So you have to just have faith in your idea and keep doing it. And what's the example I was thinking of? Uber. The Uber would have been a crazy idea to someone, but the person who created Uber thought, you know what, this idea would be sick. And Gary Vee even spoke about the time where he passed up on Uber when it was £50,000. Now it's like a multi-million or billion-pound company. All because you didn't believe in the idea.
Yeah, it's crazy, because if you're not fulfilling your idea, what you're saying, this is not about you. It's not about procrastination. Stop being selfish. You are actually crippling someone's quality of life.
Yeah.
By you not fulfilling your idea. If we didn't have the Clubhouse, he would that our quality of life would be different. Imagine not being able to communicate and use Clubhouse now that we've been. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It's like people are using Clubhouse like their radio station, because you can get some really great rooms in there. You are basically saying you don't care for other people's quality of life. You are crippling other people's quality of life because you want to be selfish, and it's not about procrastination. You're being selfish because you know what to do. And the only thing that stops you from doing it now is your capability to do it now. And you have the capability to do it now. Do you know what I mean? Stop sleeping, Yeah. And so when we're talking about how important it is, you are ultimately allowing people to have the choice. For example, imagine, obviously we're in the UK, London, right? Imagine if we've got Burger King, we've got Wendy, we've got McDonald's. Imagine if we only had McDonald's that done burgers. Are you joking? It would be absolutely hell. But the guy for Wendy said, yo, I'm going to do a Wendy. Burger King has one. Because there's space for options. People want options. Do you understand? So I don't care if there's 500 people who are doing pedicures, hair salons, whatever. People want options, and it would be hell if we only had one option of a thing. So definitely don't let that stop you. It's absolutely important that you follow through.
Absolutely. And also, I'm having so many light bulbs just go off in my head, but what I'm getting as well is, like, if you have an idea or something, and you want to execute that idea, if you don't believe in that idea, what you're essentially saying is you don't believe in yourself.
Oy.
Because all we are is a reflection of our ideas.
Absolutely.
If you want to look at someone that's fashionable, they had a vision, they had an idea, and they thought, you know what? This and this will look good together. I'm going to wear it. I don't care what anyone thinks. I think it looks nice. I'm going to wear it.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me tell you something. Your idea... Wait, hold on. I had it there, You were saying about believing, right? If you don't believe in yourself, it's gonna be extremely difficult for you to move forward. You must believe in yourself. You can't rely on no family, no friends believing in you. Yeah, it's great if they believe in you, but you cannot rely on that. That has to come from yourself. You've got to listen. It's one of those ideas which you're thinking of morning, noon, and night, and you just can't get it out of your head. You need to move. Why do you think you constantly think about this thing? It's because you need to move. This is your thing. This is your part. This is your experience. This is your thread in the whole work of this world. Do you understand? And so definitely you got to level up with your belief, and it's going to cause you to do things differently. You have to create new practices. You have to care for yourself more. You have to take your responsibility about yourself more than you've done before, than you did yesterday. You have to. You just have to. There's no other way. You have to. And so, yeah, I just urge you. And you already know what I do as a coach. I help those who want to start their biz. So, holla at your girl.
Yeah, holla at Vanessa. If you want to start your business,
You
I'm
already
probably
know.
I'm probably gonna chat to you soon. But yeah, if you need someone to help you start up your business, holla at Vanessa. Yeah. Also, yeah, how do you overcome a negative mindset? Because those days where we're feeling low, down and out, are more than people like to let on. So how do you overcome those days and overcome a negative mindset?
That's a powerful question, because every single person's been there, done it, right? And listen, this is the creme de la creme about it, right? I have an understanding of how I got to that space. When you understand the way your mind works, it's super empowering. So I'm going to give you something. So let's start from how it begins, okay? So I have a thought, and with that thought, it's either a desire that I do want or a desire that I don't want. Now, if I think of the thought of the desire that I don't want often enough, which is obviously going to be in the future, it's going to paralyze you. It's going to give you doubt. It's going to give you discouragement. It's going to make you feel uneasy. It's going to make you feel sad and paralyzed. It's going to paralyze you because you're thinking of something that you do want often, and the emotions that come with it will cause you to have anxiety, which is that worry of something that hasn't happened yet, but you're thinking of it as though it is in the future, in the present moment. However, if I think of the thought that I do desire in the future more often, that's going to create a feeling of excitement, anticipation, movement, creativity, idea, jump. And so what is it that you're thinking? And why would you think of something that you don't want?
Law of attraction.
Hey, why would you think of something that you don't want? Stop thinking of the thing that you don't want. You need to think of the thing that you do want more often. And if you do that more often, that creates the momentum, that creates the motivation for you to keep moving forward and doing the thing that you need to do. Because if you realize the moment you think of something that you don't want, it puts a stop to it. So when you have this understanding and you can realize you're thinking, you can empower yourself and say, hey, choosing to think of I'm choosing to think of the thing that I do want, so that I can say, okay, I need to do this now, or I need to do this now. And so when we get into this depression mode, it's because we have first, it's not fear, it's anxiety. It's anxiety, then it becomes fear. So fear is actually when something is happening in the moment that surprises you and that's a shock, and it's happening presently.
Yeah.
The anxiety is something that you're thinking that will happen for the future. Yeah. Whereas fear is actually happening. Does that make sense? But because you're thinking of that thing that you don't want more often, it's as though it is here happening to you, and therefore you claim it as fear. But actually it isn't.
Yeah, so fear is like the present.
It's happening right here, right now.
Sense of danger. Yeah. And anxiety is
your
fear
thoughts.
Of the worst.
Yeah. But the thing is, with our mind, we've been thinking about that anxiety of the worst so much that it becomes our reality. Yeah. And so now it's called fear. But actually, it's not. That's not the definition. And I want you guys to look up the word fear. And so that's the confusion that we're having here. Because we're thinking of this thing that we don't want so often, it emulates as though it's fear. I fear speaking on stage. No, you don't. You're just thinking of the worst often enough, and you're then applying it to your present and calling this a fear. No, it's not fair.
The definition of fear. Fear is a noun. An unpleasant emotion caused by the threat of danger, pain, or harm.
Exactly. And so danger, pain, or harm. And unless in this moment you're feeling danger, pain, or harm, it doesn't make sense. It's actually anxiety.
Yeah.
So in order for you to have the understanding, that will let you know, okay, when I'm in bed and I'm like not moving, what is it that I'm thinking? Well, I'm thinking of something that I don't want to happen.
You know what, yeah? I'm laughing because I'm just thinking about, we actually live in the 21st century. We actually have nothing to be scared of for the most.
Are you joking? Nothing.
Unless someone is coming to rob our house or anything like. We actually have nothing to be scared of.
Nothing. The world is your oyster. Paint. Get colourful. Get colourful with this world. That's what I encourage everyone. Get colourful. There's nothing to stop you. The only thing that stops you is what you're thinking and your ability to do it. That is the only thing. What you're thinking. And you have the power to choose what you think. Because every thought, I say to people, your thought is like a cloud. It looks like it's solid, but it's actually gas. And now you can choose to give it meaning. Is this good or is this bad? But there's a point in time where you have a thought and you create an association, a meaning to that thought. A fact is a fact. Now, as a human being, we generally have a fact and we automatically say it's good, bad. But if you can slow down that space and use meditation, meditation allows you to slow down your thinking. So you're conscious of your thought and you're behind the thought. It's not a quick reaction. For example, black cat, bad luck. Do you know what I mean? Now, when you have the meditation, instead of me thinking like black, why would I do that to myself? Make it difficult. Black cat. Bad luck, yeah. When I have the meditation, I've allowed myself to analyze this and say, hold on, do you know what I mean? I can now space out and make a choice to say, is that really bad luck? Yeah. That you allow yourself to have that space.
No, absolutely. Instead of you thinking black cat, bad luck, it's just a cat that happens to be black.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
How it affects me is how I let it affect me.
Oh my gosh, we're winning.
Absolutely. So, all in all, yeah, what's your ultimate goal, like, in life?
My ultimate goal, in what aspects? Because, listen, an entrepreneur is goal orientated, and I've got so many goals in different areas. So that for me is a huge, space to say. So can you be a bit specific or a little bit directional?
You can break it down into, let's say, okay, there's impact. What's your ultimate goal, like, impact-wise? Are you trying to go global with it, or?
Yeah, so I'm connected with StopMet Bootcamp, and we're trying to reach 2,000 entrepreneurs to support them in social media campaigns so that they have the mindset of a marketer. So that's one kind of goal with that business. With my coaching, I just want to be impacting lives on a greater scale. So I always collaborate with people to impact the masses so that they can have the power and be empowered by the way their mind thinks. And, just not necessarily be led anymore. Just, be empowered, being able to empower themselves. And in my personal life, honestly, just to continue, which I do have, which is having the freedom of choice. I think freedom of choice is so powerful. I've learned so much that you always, in every subject and everything, you always have choice. Always.
Fair enough. How do you, in regards to time, how is time like for you? Do you feel like you never have time? Do you feel like you have enough time? Do you feel like you have too much time on your hands?
I don't have those thoughts. I see myself as a creator, so I don't have limits with time. I don't have those thoughts at all, actually. I'm just I choose to do something, and if it feels right, I do that, knowing if there's any consequences, and obviously I'll address do you know what I'm saying? But generally, I don't have this thing of, I'm running out of time, or I don't have enough time, or there's too much time. I utilize the space, I utilize the time, and I think I've answered. I don't know. Have I answered your question, Joseph? Do you think?
No, I think, yeah.
Okay, great.
I think it's a case of, because you utilize your time wisely, you don't feel like you haven't got enough of it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I understand there's 24 hours. I understand that we're not going to live forever. And so I'm okay with that. I've kind of come to peace with that. And so I'm not in a space of pushing and forcing, and I'm not in a space of laying low and laying back. I'm in a space of enjoying and just doing.
Yeah.
But still being conscious that my mind can sometimes go further than my body, so I have to rest. The physicality. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Going back to the anxiety thing, yeah? When you think of, I haven't got a lot of time, you start getting anxious.
You see it there?
It happens. Again, that's why planning is super important, because my mind is just going back to when I used to go to school or whatever, and I was late, and I was running late. I hadn't planned. If I'd ironed my clothes the night before,
you already know.
You get me, polish my shoes, all of that. There's almost guaranteed that I'm going to be on time, and that's
Yeah.
not something that I'm worrying about.
Mm-hmm.
But when I haven't planned the way I'm supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I'm worried about time, and that's when the anxiety kicks in.
It's so good because what? You're following through. You're doing the process. And you're being smart about it. You're saying that, hey, I've got to make sure I've got my clothes, my iron, all these stuff. That's the process. And so if you're smart about it and you know this is the process, then you're going to do it, right?
Yeah.
And then that's where you utilize time. You're not dependent on time. It's just like, you see what I'm saying? Where it's that, yeah.
And I think as well, it all goes back to accountability.
Oh,
and I think that's why people hate accountability, because when in relation to time, yeah, again, people's time is valuable. So if I value my time and I'm engaging with you, out of respect, you must value my time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And if you don't value my time, respectfully, we might have a problem.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I'm saying? Not even like that, because like, okay, cool. If you come to work and you're late, it's like, okay, cool. Anything can happen once. You're late once. If you're late 2-3 times, and I'm paying you, say you have a job, it's like, okay, cool. Do you think it's cool just to show up to work late, not say a word, and I'm just gonna pay you? No.
Yeah, there's a consequence, and I think this is really, really great that you're touching on this. There's a consequence, and I think the thing that people do when they're connecting is they don't see that there's a consequences, and so you've always also got to kind of teach people how to treat you, right? Because if you don't communicate to that person, actually, you being late, okay, maybe once, but you letting them know, okay, cool, you were late this time. That's cool. I pardon that. You know, I appreciate you, and I'm glad we're here now. Ultimately, it stumbles me. It makes me. It throws me off when we start late. If you express to them in a way that says, "Hey, it stumbles me off when we start late. You know, I have to kind of get back into the right flow of mindset because obviously I've had this expectation of time." If you communicate these things, then that person will have an understanding of how you respond to lateness, right? And then they can generate that respect and take it in appreciation. And now they know, right? It's not, now it's no assumptions, isn't it? You know, like, that's like, do you know what I'm saying? So, some people are not communicating and just like cursing, oh my God, you're late. Like, but not actually sharing with them how it affects me, you being late, or how I see it in my eyes, then that person can't then take that 2 pence and then make it a 4p. Do you know what I mean?
You know what it is? Again, yeah. You're talking about self-awareness and how it impacts others. When you're late, yeah, again, unless something drastically crazy has happened, we can boil it down to selfishness.
Oh.
We can boil it down
let's
to...
go.
We can boil it down to selfishness, because it's like, you're only thinking about you. If you were actually thinking about how being late impacts other people, the company you work for, the person that you want to meet, they may have plans. They may have plans to do something else after they're finished with you, but because you're late, the time that they wanted to spend with you is cut short. But you're not thinking about that. You're just thinking about yourself. So it is selfishness. And
yeah, it is. And I think when that person is in that space, their consciousness is just consumed around them. It's just consumed around them. And I think the more you're more conscious and aware and have an understanding of who you're interacting with, the better choices you can make in terms of, hey, if I don't show up on time, like, Joseph is gonna, do you know what I mean? It's impacting this, that, and other, and I need to have that in consideration. And so when you have that communication with someone, you can make a better choice. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's about respect. There's so many threads to this.
Yeah, there's so many ways in which you can break it down. And going back to the time thing, accountability, in my view, this is just my view. I'm not saying I didn't. Accountability frees you from the constraints of time. And what I mean by that is, if you're accountable for how you're using your time, you're not going to feel the constraints of, oh, I haven't got enough time, I haven't used my time properly.
Yeah, you're responsible.
Whereas when you're worried about the constraints of time, you're thinking, did I use my time wisely? Was this person worth my time? Then that's when you'll start to second guess yourself, start to doubt your thinking.
Yeah, so that's almost like coming outside of yourself. So definitely when you take personal responsibility for yourself and how you show up and how you are showing up in front of others, when you take personal responsibility then, you know, you don't have those issues about timing and all those kinds of things. You you put your hands up when you're wrong. Do you know what I mean? Hey, I'm wrong. I'm sorry, and I apologize, and I'll do my best not to do that again. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's mad.
Absolutely. One last question, yeah. Then we're gonna wrap up. How do you want to be remembered? Deep one, innit?
Yeah, a lot of words come up in my head. I'm just thinking. So one of my nicknames is called a rock star. Not that I play rock music, but when people say rock star, it just really resonates with me. And in my mind, when people say rock star, it means that I create great impact, and I'm very, very unique in doing that. So I just want to be known as someone who has impacted lives in a positive way, for the betterment of their quality of life and others. Ultimately, yeah. I think that's it, without making it complicated.
Yeah, how giving is important. I think that's for me as well. I haven't really answered this question, but I want to be remembered as someone that gave, because again, it's better to give than to receive.
Oh, I think so too. And you know what? I've also learned that love is the greatest currency of exchange.
Absolutely.
I think the whole COVID has really taught me that in the long haul. I've connected with a lot of people on Clubhouse, and it's just been organic, without expectations, and organic. And I've not even physically met them. I don't even know if they have drug issues or alcohol issues. I don't even know. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't even know them like that, their personal life. But when you have a connection that's organic, there's been a lot of times when we've exchanged things with each other, and the currency was not monetary. It was just literally, I've given, and oh my gosh, you've given, I want to give. And then that's it.
Yeah.
Really simple.
Don't be selfish, guys.
Don't be selfish.
In giving, you receive. Don't focus on the receiving.
Yes, you'll be added onto.
That's it. That's going to wrap up episode 19 of A Matter of Mindset. Vanessa, thank you. Really appreciate that. Thoroughly enjoyed this, by the way.
Thank you.